Good day to BSAA. My greetings to our professor, Sir Jeswell James de Guzman. I am Aldrin Flores from the third group who will first report in the core subject Literature of the World. We welcome you to the country of Greece as we are going to report its cultures and traditions where the Greek mythology, along with the poem, music, dances, national pride, and Greek facts you've never known before. Greek means belonging or relating to Greece, or to its people, language, or culture. Greece has a total area size of 131,957 kilometers square, composing of more than 2,000 islands, of which about 227 islands are inhabited. Greece receives approximately 30 million international visitors each year that has 5 largest Greek islands. The 5 largest islands of Greece are Crete, Evia, Lesbos, Rhodes, and Chios. Aside from that, they are famous of their Greek god sculptures, museum and theater play stadium. Together with my group mates, Miss China Andrea Guadalupe, Miss Runiela Dumawal, Miss Sandra Tolino, Miss Leia Guillermo, Miss Gwendolyn Espartero, Miss Sheena May Galvez, and Miss Aliana Jade Estoquia. Let's explore the land of Greeks, reporting all the way from the University of Southern Mindanao College of Education. We present to you the discoveries we encounter in Greece. Find a place where you can enjoy the tour we prepared and be amazed to the world of Greeks.
Hello everyone, I am China Andrea H. Guadalupe, and this is the creation of the universe according to Greek mythology. So the Greeks say that it all began with chaos, a special jumbled up substance that contained all the necessary ingredient for a fully formed universe. Then snap, crop, and pop. Chaos became cosmos, or the ordered universe. Cosmos means well-ordered, which is related to other words like cosmetics, which put your face in good order. So although the Greeks recorded this transformation from chaos to cosmos, they never mentioned which god was responsible for it. This didn't particularly interest them, so they said that an unknown god created the universe. So the newly formed world, there existed two immortal beings, Gaia, Mother Earth, and Uranus, Father Heaven. The earth and sky coming together, these two forces produce their first batch of children. Much to Uranus's displeasure, these children were hideously deformed. Some were cyclopses, one-eyed giants, and the others had 100 gangly arms and 50 heads each. Disgusted by their deformities, Uranus banished them to the deepest and darkest part of the world, a pit called Tartarus. Gaia grieved for her lost children, yet her mourning was cut short. Uranus compelled her to produce a second batch of offspring. These children were the Titans, giants who possess mighty powers. Some had the strength to lift mountains, some were strong as rushing waters, and some blazed like the sun. Since they were perfectly formed, Uranus allowed them to roam the earth freely, and there was peace for a time. Not until Cronus, the craftiest of the Titan, invaded his father's power and his mind began to scheme. He heard the weeping of his mother Gaia, who mourned for her deformed first offspring, now locked beneath the earth. Using this to his advantage, Cronus convinced his mother that the only way to free her long-lost children was to murder Uranus. The grief-stricken Gaia agreed to Cronus' plan and gave him the sight to help him accomplish his dirty deed. That night, when Uranus materialized from heaven to meet his wife, Cronus leaped from his hiding place and, slashing with his weapon, emasculated his father. Deeply wounded and his power gone, Uranus dissipated back into the sky, and there he lost substance. Since the blood of the immortal beings had magical properties, and as the drops of Uranus's blood rained from the heavens, it gave birth to new creatures wherever it mingled with the dust of the earth. The three Furies, demonic spirits that torture criminals, arose with their eyes dripping blood. Also, giants were born from the fallen blood. And finally, a single drop of the magical blood landed on an ocean wave as it crested, combining with the splendor of the sea foam. The blood produced Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. With his father displaced, Cronus set himself up as the new master of the universe, and ignoring his promise to his mother, left his deformed brothers chained beneath the earth. As his new kingship began, Cronus decided to make sure that his reign would last forever. Since every king must have a consort, Cronus took his sister Rhea to be his queen. When the union produced its first child, Cronus knew that there was a chance that this child might try to overthrow him, just as he had done to his father. It was not a risk he was willing to take. When the baby, the first of the gods, was at last delivered, Cronus swallowed it whole. Rhea was horrified at this, but it was just the first of many crimes. A grisly cycle of birthing and devouring began. Time and time again, Rhea delivered a perfectly formed infant god, only to have it gobbled up by Cronus. The newborn Poseidon, Hera, Hades, Demeter, and Hestia were all devoured in this way. As Cronus' stomach swelled with the bodies of his own children, it seemed his appetite for power would never be satisfied. At last, Rhea reached her limit. In secret, she delivered her next child, a sturdy baby boy, and sent him to be raised by the nymphs of Mount Ida on Crete. When Cronus demanded to see his latest son, crafty Rhea wrapped a stone in blankets and presented it to his husband. He greedily gobbled up the stone without a second thought, and Rhea smiled to herself. She knew her youngest Zeus would grow to adult in exile and return to avenge his brothers and sisters.
Hi, I'm Raniela Dumawal, and here's the Greek facts. Did you know that there are 12 gods of Mount Olympus? They were the most important deities in ancient Greece. And in this collection, we examine each one in detail. Here's the trivia. Zeus is the most important god. He is the ruler of the Mount Olympus, and he is also the god of weather. Poseidon is the god of the ocean. He is the next most important god to Zeus, along with Hades, who is the underworld god. Hera is Zeus' wife. She is also the goddess of marriage. Ares is a god of war and violence. Artemis is a goddess of hunting and animals. Apollo is a god of light, dance, music, and also medicine poems. Hermes is the messenger of the gods. He is also the god of travelers, thieves, and shepherds. Hestia is a goddess of home and family. Demeter is a goddess of earth, wheat, flowers, and plants. Aphrodite is a goddess of love and beauty. Athena is a goddess of wisdom, defense, the arts, industry, justice, and skills.
Hi everyone, I am Sandra Vitolino. Here's the great fact. Did you know that during ancient Greek, people exercised naked? In fact, the word gymnasium came from the word gymnasium, meaning school for naked exercise.
Guillermo, 20 years old from Cabacan, Cotabato. In Greek myths, there are numerous inspired artists for centuries. Because the Greeks love myths and stories, it is no surprise that they created great works of literature. Early Greek writers produced long epic poems, romantic poetry, and some of the world's most famous stories. Among the earliest Greek writings are two great epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey. In early 8th century to 9th century BC, by a poet named Homer. Like most epics, both poems describe the death of great heroes. The heroes in Homer's poems fought in the Trojan War. Then, we have the works and days around 700 BC by Hesiod, in which this is written from the point of view of the small independent farmer, probably in the wake of the dispute between Hesiod and his brother Perseus over the distribution of his father's land. Then, we also have the work of Lewis Clark, A Myth of Devotion in 2006, about the myth of Persephone and Hades, and about a bitter version of love. And the monogram in 1972 by Odysseus Euripides, it is a poetic composition which is complex in its meanings and developed into a love tragedy. Then, the Alexandriad in 1873 by Adrianus, an epic poem that wrote on the history of Alexander the Great. Then, the work of Augusta Webster, Thirst, in 1837 to 1894, that contains the storyline that really, the whole thing is widely circular. Next, Musée des Beaux-Arts, in 1939 by Auden. This poem was only indirectly inspired by mythology. It was inspired more directly by a painting, Landscape with the Fall of Erebus, attributed to Bruegel the Elder. Then, Tithonus in 1860 by Alfred Lord Tennyson, in which the poem is a dramatic monologue about how death is a part of life. It's based on the myth of Tithonus, who is in love with Aurora, and the Mrs. Minida in 1999 by Carol Ann Duffy. In this, we can imagine the lives of the long-suffering other halves of male figures from myth. Also, we have Medusa, written in late 1962 by Sylvia Plath, in which this addresses some of her feelings about her mother. And this is what the poem says.
Medusa, off that landscape of stony mouthfloods, eyes rolled by white steeds, ears cupping the seas incoherences, you house your unnerving head, godball, lens of mercies. Your stooges lying their wild selves in my nails' shadow, pushing by like hearts, red stigmata at the very center, riding the reed tied to the nearest point of departure, dragging their Jesus hair. Did that escape, I wonder? My mind reads to you, old barnacle, umbilicus, Atlantic cable, keeping itself, it seems, in a state of miraculous repair. In any case, you are always there, tremulous breath at the end of my line, curve of water upleaping to my water road, dusty and grateful, touching and sucking. I didn't call you. I didn't call you at all. Nevertheless, you steam to me over the sea, fat and red, a placenta. Paralyzing the kicking lovers, cobra-like squeezing the breath from the blood dust of the fuchsia, I could draw no breath, red and manless, overexposed like an X-ray. Who do you think you are? A communion wafer, blueberry Mary, I shall take no bite of your body, battle in which I live, ghastly Vatican. I am sick to death of hot soul, grin as eunuchs, your wishes hiss at my sins. Off, eerie tentacle, there is nothing between us.
Greek fact. Did you know that Greece's national animal is a dolphin? Yes, you heard it right. The dolphin, a friendly marine creature. It is a symbol used to represent Greece. Etymologically speaking, the word dolphin comes from the ancient Greek Delphis, itself related to the Greek Delphus or womb. So the animal's name, more or less, means a fish with a womb. As such, the dolphin's role in human culture can be traced back to the ancient times, where they appear in many myths. Greek explained the dolphin's intelligence and altruistic behavior. In ancient Greece, killing a dolphin was punishable by death, which shows that dolphins were highly revered.
The great fact, did you know that ancient Greeks embraced pedophilia? And a boy's father would even choose an older male partner. Every Olympian god except Ares is said to have had this relationship, and it was not considered awful, but instead, it's a normal part of life.
Hello everyone, I am Gwendolyn Espartero, and at this point, I will be presenting to you 5 popular foods that can be found in Greece. But before that, did you know that Greece is considered as a gem of Mediterranean? Why? It is because wherever you go in Greece, there's always a touch of paradise, either winter or summer. Aside from that, foods in Greece are considered as mind-blowing because they are not just excellent and delicious but also gives benefit in your health. One of these foods that is considered as the Greeks' national dish is called moussaka. Moussaka is similar to lasagna but they are different. The difference between them is that unlike lasagna, moussaka is cooked with minced meat, vegetables, and bechamel. The most common vegetable that is used in making moussaka is either an eggplant or zucchini. Bechamel, on the other hand, is a sauce made of white roux and milk. The Greek version of moussaka was introduced in 20th century by the famous Greek chef named Nikolaos Chalamentes. However, Greeks have argued on what's the best way of preparing moussaka. Well, in fact, there are 2 best ways of preparing it. These are the casserole moussaka and the oven moussaka. Another popular food in Greece is called souvlaki. Souvlaki is a popular food in Greece which contains meat and sometimes vegetables that is sliced into small pieces and is grilled in a skewer. If we were going to compare it in a similar dish here in our country, it is more like of a barbecue. They are usually using pork in making souvlaki. However, they are also using chicken, beef, and lamb as a substitute for the pork. Another traditional food which can be found in Greece is called dolmades. Dolmades is a very popular food which can be found in every Greek restaurant worldwide. It is made up of grapevine leaves which is stuffed of lemon-flavored rice, fresh herbs and spices which is rolled up after before bringing to boil. You have to wait until it is tender before you can serve it. You can also use cabbage as a substitute if grapevine leaves is not available. Another food that I'll be introducing to you is called fasolata, or also known as fasolada. Fasolata is a simple yet delicious recipe which everyone can make. It is made up of dry white beans, olive oil, and vegetables. Others also claim that fasolata is the national food of Greece. The last popular food in Greece which I'll be introducing to you is called amygdalata. Amygdalata is usually served with a hot tea or hot coffee. It is made up of almond flour, egg whites, sugar, and some other ingredients which are used in making cookies. Amygdalata is also called as Greek macaroons. However, it doesn't contain any coconut. These 5 dishes and recipes are only some of the popular foods which can be found in Greece, but I hope this would give you knowledge and insight about Greece's popular foods.
Greek fact. Did you know that the statue of Zeus at Olympia was sculpted by an artist named Phidias? He was also the one who sculpted the statue of Athena Parthenos. The statue of Zeus is one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. This incredible statue took him 12 years to make. He began sculpting in 430 BC and completed in 422 BC. The statue of Zeus at Olympia was about 42 feet tall. This statue was damaged by an earthquake in 170 BC, but it was repaired. The statue was made of a wooden frame and covered in ivory and gold panels. The temple at Olympia was a shrine to Zeus, the Greek god of the sky, lightning, thunder, law, and order.
Great fact! Did you know that most of ancient Greeks wore a chiton? Basically, a long and sleeveless t-shirts. Both men and women wore this garment.
Hi, I'm Sheena May Bigalves, and I am going to report about the Greek music, origin, facts, and examples. To begin with, let's start from the music origin. The word music is derived from the Greek word musike, which means the art of the muse. It defines an art which melody and words were ideally inseparable. The great philosopher Plato proposed that education in music was sovereign, and he really made it compulsory in Greek education. Music was an integral part of life in ancient Greece. Music is an important element of the culture of Greece, having an incredible diversity owing to the integration of different influences of the Eastern and Western cultures. The long history of music in Greece dates back to ancient times, the period when music, dance, lyrics, and poetry were an integral part of life, while an extensive range of musical instruments were used in order to perform music played in a series of occasions, including religious ceremonies, festivals, funerals, weddings, and athletic activities. Music was seen as a gift of the gods. In ancient Greece, they have considered that music could have a valuable effect on both body and mind of the listener. The invention of musical instruments was attributed to specific deities, including the lyre to Hermes, the flute to Athena, and the panpipes to Pan. Characteristics of Greek music are as follows. Recurrences of Greek ideals in music, such as the revival of Greek tragedy, which gave rise to opera drama song to music. Terms such as perfect, imperfect consonants, fourths, fifths, octaves, thirds, and sixths come from the Greek theory. Most of the music in ancient Greece were composed of one unharmonized melodic line. Divine origin and religious importance were given to ancient Greek music. The principal instrument used then were two forms of lyra and the kithara, and a double oboe and aulus. Modern Greek music also has a rich tradition of folk music. We live in a society obsessed with music. We use music to worship, tell stories, to celebrate, to work, exercise, declare our love, and sometimes our hatred, and arguably most importantly, to dance. And of course, we play music ourselves because it's a pleasant thing to do. Thousands of years ago in ancient Greece, when it came to music, things weren't much different. They might have lyre and tunic instead of infantry players and jeans, but the ancient Greece were just as obsessed with music as we are today. In fact, music was such an important part of ancient Greek society that it makes us seem tame by comparison. In ancient Greece, mythology was believed that human creativity was the result of divine inspiration from a group of goddesses known as the Muses. Each muse oversees her own specific area of artistic expertise, ranging from song and dance to history and astronomy. You see, the word muse is very similar to the word music. It's where the word originates. Most importantly, ancient Greeks considered music to be the basis for understanding the fundamental interconnectedness of all things in the universe. This concept of connectivity is known as harmonia, and it's where we get the word harmony. Examples of famous Greek music are the following. First, it is entitled Etsi Emi Ego by Ero, which is composed by Demetris Kontopoulos in the year 1999. It topped the Greek charts, making the producer famous nationally. Second, Polia, Tis Nectas, which is composed by Bobby Stokas in the year 2001. It is known to be his first personal album. The third is entitled Timber, I'm Falling in Love. Was recorded by Loveless, released as a single in 1989 and was composed by Kostas Lazaredes. Fourth is Down by the Priest Jetty, composed by Nikos Braknas in the year 2000. Last example is entitled Never on Sunday, was written by Manos Hadjidakis, also known by its original Greek title, Ta Pedia tou Pereia, The Children of Pereios. His original Greek lyrics, along with the foreign translations in German, French, Italian, and Spanish, do not mention Never on Sunday as found in English lyrics, but rather tell the story of the main female character of the film, Ilya Mercouri. Ilya is a jolly woman who sings of her joyful life in her port town of Pereios. If I search the world over, I find no other port which has the magic of my port Piraeus. Although she earns her money as a prostitute, she longs to meet a man someday who is just as full of joie de vivre as she is herself. This song was popularized by Connie Francis as released on October 1961.
La 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 Koso kem saso mete salimani melero mexicani oso to petea. Oh, you can kiss me on a Monday, a Monday, a Monday is very, very good. Or you can kiss me on a Tuesday, a Tuesday, a Tuesday, in fact I wish you would. Or you can kiss me on a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, and Saturday is best. But never, never on a Sunday, a Sunday, a Sunday, 'cause that's my day of rest. Come any day, and you'll be my guest. Any day you say, but my day of rest. Just name a day that you like the best. Only stay away on my day of rest.
Greek fact. Did you know that the Greeks invented the theater? It is largely thought that the ancient Athenians had a flair for drama that extended into things like religious ceremonies like weddings, funerals, and many more. Over time, people began creating plays that were to be performed at theaters. The ancient Greeks not only invented theater itself, but they also created multiple genres, including the comedy, tragedy, and satire genres. Each of these entertained audiences at first in Athens. And then the practice spread throughout Greece. These plays were performed in the ancient theaters that were at first built in Athens, and then the other ancient city-states began building them as well. It is true that the ancient Greeks invented the theater as we know it today. In fact, many of the plays that were written back then have not only survived, but are still being performed until today.
The great fact, did you know that the Greeks played a soccer like a sport called Ephexios with a ball made from the infected pig's bladder?
Hello everyone, I am Aliana Jade Estakia and I'm going to report the most popular Greek dances. It's true that the Greek people love to dance, and this is evidenced in the thousands of traditional dances that can be found throughout the country. Many of these dances have been around in some form since ancient times. These dances are present at holidays, weddings, festivals, birthdays, and are even dances for the fun of it any time of the year. The following dances are considered to be some of the most popular and recognizable performed by the Greek people. Chamiko. The chamiko is a pan-Hellenic dance that is typically performed by men, but sometimes by both genders. Chamiko comes from the areas of Peloponnese, Thessaly, Central Greece, and Epirus. The costume worn during the chamika dance is called a faustanilia, and this is usually worn when both women and men perform the dance. Faustanilia is a traditional pleated skirt worn by men, similar to a kilt. The dance has a strict tempo and it is performed in a circle with the dancers holding hands. A slower version of the dance can be found in Epirus. Hasapiko. The Haspiko is said to date back to the days where Constantinople was the prominent center of the Byzantine Empire. It began as a dance that was performed by butchers with swords. The name Hasapiko originates from Turkish meaning the butcher's dance. The dance was from the military of the Byzantine era. Hasapiko is a dance that begins slow and quickens its pace and is performed in a circle or a line. Zaibikiko. The Zaibikiko is another dance that was traditionally performed by men, but women now dance it regularly as well. It is danced in pairs with the two individuals facing each other with arms wide open. The dancer then perform a series of steps, most of them improvised while interacting with each other through their movements. Ikariotikos. The Ikariotikos is a traditional Greek dance from the island of Ikaria. Older versions of this dance are a lot slower than the modern version, but the steps are pretty similar. Men and women perform this dance in a circle, arms in the basket weave hold while taking walking steps that get quicker as the dance goes on. The most famous song to go with the Ikariotikos dance is one called My Love of Ikaria. Pentazali. The Pentazali is a dance that comes from Crete. Its name comes from the fifth attempt by the Cretans to liberate Crete from Ottomans. This is considered to be a war dance that is very energetic with high jumping movements. Since ancient Greece, the belief here is that dancing would keep soldiers in shape for combat. Dancers hold each other by the shoulders and create a semicircle which rotates counterclockwise. The first dancer in line that dance variations of their choice while the other dancers do the basic steps. Kalamatianos. The Kalamatianos is a folk dance known throughout Greece. This dance appears in the writings of Homer. The name Kalamatianos comes from the city Kalamata, but the dance itself is Pan-Hellenic and known as the national dance of Greece. The Kalamatianos is a dance that is performed in a circle with everyone holding hands. The dance can also be referred to as the Sirtus. The little visible difference between the two, though the steps between the two dances are similar, the music isn't quite the same and the beats are slightly different. Sirtaki. The Sirtaki is a Greek dance that is known far and wide. This dance is modern compared to the others as it originated in 19th
Sirtaki was created especially for the movie Zurba the Greek. The sirtaki is known for alternating between fast and slow steps. The dance is performed in a circle or line with dancers' hands placed on the shoulders of the person next to them. It is said that this dance mimics the drunken walk home after a night of drinking in the tavernas. Traditional Greek dances are important part of the culture, lots of fun, and bring people together to celebrate life. And I'm going to perform the Sirtaki dance.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy our presentation and learn a lot from it. We pray for your safety and continue to aim high and discovering things in the world we belong. May all the Greek gods and goddesses be with us.